Welcome to Indy's Real Estate Gurus. We're recording today from the Advisors Mortgage Group studio right here in downtown Carmel. And I'm Rick Ripma, your hardworking mortgage guy. I've been in the mortgages and real estate for over 34 years. I've helped over 5,200 folks finance their homes. We believe, my team and I, that there is a right mortgage for you and that we're the team to deliver it. And I missed half of it, but keep going.
What are you talking about? You can do it.
Okay, you want me to keep going? Okay, so I don't know how I missed it. My team and I believe in custom tailored loans, not the one size fits all approach. We believe there is a right mortgage for you, and we are the team to deliver it. Is that better?
That's better. You did a good job. Now it's my turn to mess up. And I'm Ian Arnold, part of Rick's hardworking mortgage team. I've been in the financial industry for 15 years, helping customers rebuild their credit and get the best possible interest rates for them. I also have a passion in helping you secure your future and through real estate and have your overall wealth and generation wealth.
Ready for me to go again?
I'm ready for you to go.
All right. So I'm pretty excited today. We have Erik Pitner, correct?
That's correct.
With Carpenter Realtors, and you're out of Avon. And Erik is a phenomenal agent, been doing huge numbers. You've been in the business quite some time. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me here. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. We do appreciate it. If somebody needed to get a hold of you, what would be the best way?
The best way to reach me is on my cell phone. You can send me a text message, 317-345-8011, or give me a call, 317-345-8011.
Please wait till after the show because he's busy right now.
You can also send me an email at epitner@callcarpenter.com, or send me a message through my website. That's www.erikpitner.callcarpenter.com.
And Pitner is Pitner.
That's correct.
Correct?
Yep.
All right. And as we get started, for the most up-to-date information on Indy's real estate market or mortgages, please go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com, or you can call 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938. And Erik, you've been in real estate for quite some time, but what did you do before real estate?
Before real estate, I worked in public safety. I was a paramedic for about 22 years.
Awesome. And before even that, where were you born, raised?
Born in actually Lafayette, Indiana.
Okay.
And grew up down in Bloomington, Indiana.
Uh-oh. Is that allowed?
It is allowed. My father was an auto dealer, and the early 80s recession caused some dealerships to close, and we relocated down to Bloomington. I was about 7 or 8 years old, and then so grew up there, high school there, got a degree from IU, and then decided that I had enough of Bloomington, Indiana, and just thumbed through the books and grabbed an apartment up here in Indianapolis.
Awesome.
and went from there. So,
do you still have auto dealers?
my dad's retired now.
Okay.
Yeah, he retired about 5 years ago, right after my mom passed, and he's living out in Virginia now. And so
Okay.
I still got some family down in Bloomington. My brother's still down there, and so it'll always be home. But that's neither here nor there at this point.
So I have to get, you are a paramedic and now you're a realtor. How did this even transpire?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody who ends up in real estate, I think, the vast majority of us, it's our second career. In January of 2018, I lost my job through some just really unfortunate events that occurred, and I spent a couple of months, kind of just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Living off of savings and borrowing some money and draining some retirement accounts until my wife said, "Hey, it's time for you to figure out what we're going to do here."
That's why we have wives.
I was sitting with a friend, and he said, "Have you ever thought about selling real estate?" And I said, "Well, I tend to try and." My dad had really tried to push both my brother and I away from sales jobs because being in the auto business as long as he was, he knew that what we were up against to make money in sales, and so. My buddy said, "Why don't you give it a try?" And so I actually had my cousin's husband is an agent with Carpenter, and I gave him a call and I said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this." And I went down and met with him and the managing broker of our County Line Road office, and they said all the right things. And so I got my license in June of 18 and hit the ground running in August, and sold 23 or 24 homes my first year, and just really haven't looked back. So
you're very happy you made that choice.
yeah, I mean, obviously it's paid off well, and
Yes.
so but it's one of those things where you come to a crossroads in life, and you realize that like what you've known for a long time isn't going to be a part of your future, and so you have to make some decisions. And so my wife and I sat down and talked about it, and it's ended up working out okay. So
yeah, I find that it always works out okay. I mean, I'm quite a bit older than you, I'm guessing, and I have just found that it always works out okay. So not that that makes it any easier when you're running through, problems, but I think it makes a big, if you just accept it like you did and you move on, it works out. But how did you getting started in real estate is not the easiest thing in the world. So how did you get going so quickly? What did you do? What processes?
well, I mean, I owe a lot of credit to my former managing broker Morris Lucas, who's now at EXP Real Estate. Who sat me down and said, "Hey, how much money do you need to take care of your family? That's what we need to start first. Let's figure out the dollar amount that you need." And I told him a number at the time. I remember him laughing at me, saying, "That's such a low, unrealistic goal for you." I said, "Well, that's what I need right now." And so he said, "Here's the plan. Here's what we're going to put in place. Here's what you need to do every day, day in and day out, to build a business and to build your database and get in touch with people and get in front of people." And he said, "If you do that, you'll be all right." I said, "Okay, I'll see you tomorrow at 8." And I can remember, I mean, literally my first 6 weeks in real estate was, 10, 11 hours a day of just really talking to anybody and everybody that I ever met in my life to, "Hey, great news. I'm excited to let you know I've got a new career in real estate. Who do you know?" And it was like, if I had your number, Rick, but I didn't have Ian's, "Hey, I don't have Ian's number, Rick. You mind giving me Ian's number?" And then Ian's the next call. And it's just name. And so now I need your name. I need your address. I need your email account. So now I'm just building this database. And so just day in and day out. And I mean, I had a lot of good people in place at that office to kind of keep me motivated, and it's like, you catch you wandering up and down the halls.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Get back on the phone. You have nothing else to do. What else do you have to do? Like, you have no deals going. You're brand new. Like, you've got to go find, deals.
Right.
And I didn't have a choice because my wife wasn't going to give me very much time before she just said, "It's time to go get a real job because this isn't working out." So 75% of my business my first year was people I'd never met before.
Awesome.
Because I didn't have a bunch of people saying, "Let us know when you."
Right.
So now, as the years have gone on, of course,
yes,
those people that you talk to year one say, "We're not ready yet," and year two, and they send you a referral, and then all of a sudden, "No, by the way, we're ready now," and thanks for staying in touch with us. And so it's a people business, and I looked at it like, when I was working in public safety, people had problems. They called me to help. I had to ask them some questions, figure out what was wrong, figure out how to best help them. And I'm just doing the same thing now when it comes to buying and selling real estate. People they got a problem. How can I help you? And that's really what I view our big thing is. We're in the people business. We're in helping people. So
yeah, we are, and without prospects or any of that, I mean, you just without the phone, you have to do that, right? It's the
my
main
number
thing.
one job is to build inventory every day.
Right.
Because I'm a direct salesperson, and unlike a car lot, there's not 75 trucks, and I just got to go sell the guy one of these 75 because he walks up, he drives up and says, "I got to buy a truck today."
Right.
And so if you don't have any inventory, then you don't have anything to sell.
Right.
And so it's that mentality that I was brought up with, that like, hey, great, you took a listing, great, that's good, that's what you're supposed to do, and then it pended, even better. Now you're out of business.
Right.
And that's a hard thing to accept from
as
a new agent, because you're just really excited about it and everything. But then you also can't get caught, rocking that baby for 30 days that might not close.
Right.
And we've got about a 24% fall through rate in the market right now, which, 1 in every 4 deals, the first contract doesn't make it to closing. So you've got to be able to continually generate new leads, fill the pipeline every day, and nonstop every day. I mean, I say start every day at 0, like you didn't sell anything yesterday.
Yeah. I think it helps, though, like for somebody who did what you did. You got into the business and then you worked your tail off and you did the things that a lot of people don't want to do, right? They don't want to make calls. They don't want to do cold calls. They don't want to do those kind of things. But to get going, that's just part of what you have to do, right?
Right.
And so when it slows down, you still have that skill and ability, because there's people who I've talked to, many people, I won't call. They just flat out won't do it. and it makes such a difference. So and in our business, now Ian and I both were in the car business. So, and if you can't tell, we like cars. So, and that's a business that you sit there and they come in, right? But this isn't like that. The Carpenter doesn't say, here's a line of traffic, here you go, right? You have to go out and get it.
And so really, I mean, I've got three, or any real estate agent has got three options about how they find business. They can wait for it, which the vast majority do. And you'll do a handful of deals every year just because people, your friends and family that you know,
right?
You can buy business, and there's all kinds of places out there that'll sell you leads, Zillow and Realtor.com and those places, and they'll sell you a big pile of stuff, and you'll spend a whole lot of time sorting through it, trying to figure out who can actually sign a contract.
Right.
Or you can go find it. And if you can get a system in place where you find business every day, then you can essentially predict what your income is going to be, and you can reproduce it every day.
Yeah.
The random phone call that's a sale for a house isn't predictable. It's not like you said, I'm going to put my phone close to me today because I know today is going to be the day somebody's going to call me.
Right.
And that's okay. But for me, I need to be able to predict every month, where my business is going and how much I'm generating. And I as I tell our newer agents, I don't ever want to be in a position when my wife asks me when my next commission check is coming and I can't tell her an answer.
Yes.
And that's as simple as I break it down to that simple part.
Yes.
And so real estate and is an infinite game, right? It's going to go on forever.
Right.
And realistically, it's up to you to decide at what level you want to participate in it. And any level's fine.
Yeah.
Any level's fine. I'm comfortable doing, 35 or 40 a year. Sales a year. Some people that's a month for them, and great for them and good for them. But the other person I'm competing against is myself.
Right. That's a great thing to understand.
Yeah. And if they only want to do 3 or 4 a year, good for them too.
Right. That's okay.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
But what you can't do is want to do 50 with the work mentality of 3.
Right.
And that's the biggest. I think that's the biggest thing for what most agents get frustrated as. They think that the people who are selling a high volume of real estate, that it just comes easily, and then they're not putting in a lot of work to make it happen.
Right.
And they really are behind the scenes.
You have to.
And I always say that one of the biggest drawbacks is that people think that work is a noun and not a verb.
Right.
It's a place they go and not a thing they do. So they say, "Oh, I went to the office today."
Yes.
Okay. And what'd you do there? Well, I had a deal. Okay, you had a deal, and so what? You sent a couple of emails or typed up an inspection response, and that took you 30 minutes of your day?
Right.
As I shared, and so I look at it with our newer agents too. It's like if I was going to hire you, and I said, come into the office, I'll show you how to talk to 200 people, and when you get to 200, come to me, and I'll hand you a $7,000 check. Would you do that? Oh yeah, of course I would do that. So why aren't you? Well, because it's the fear of rejection, and it's like, we don't know what to say. And I'm always like, well, I don't care if a total stranger hangs up on me.
Yeah. What's the worst thing that's ever happened to you on a cold call?
Yeah, that you get yelled at and they hang up.
And
guess what?
You survived it.
They're not mad at me.
Right.
They're mad at the process.
Yeah.
They're mad at the process and the event of somebody calling them and feeling like they were being sold something.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I don't even feel like I'm selling them anything. I'm just saying, hey, have you ever thought about moving?
Right. You're trying to help out.
Have you ever thought about moving? Did you know what the neighbor's house sold for? Were you aware of that?
Yes.
Because people are talking about real estate
all the time,
every day.
Yep.
And you're foolish to think that they're not. And the worst thing you can do as an agent is to not talk to somebody because either A, you're afraid of being rejected, or B, their friends and family you don't feel comfortable asking them for the business. And then so what happens is then you don't talk to them for 6 months. You hop on Facebook, and they're super excited that they bought or sold real estate. And you go, I cannot believe that they bought a house and they didn't call me. Well, when's the last time you talked to them? Well, like a year ago, but they forgot about you.
Right. Yeah.
You weren't you weren't front of mind. They just totally didn't even. And then if you talk to them afterwards, they'll say, well, I forgot you were in real estate. Yeah. So is that their fault or yours?
It's yours.
It's so if you're not asking for business, you're going to be out of business.
Yes.
Well, let's do this. If somebody was wanting to do some business, how will they get a hold of you, Eric?
Well, they could just give me a call at 317-345-8011, or they could text me at that same number for a faster response, 317-345-8011.
And to get a hold of Ian or I, it's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. You can look up our contact information there, or you can call us at 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938. Did I forget something? I always forget this. You know what? He looks at me like,
I mean,
not only did I forget it, I don't have it.
We're paying for our ads.
So there you go. My ad is not going to run today because I don't have it.
Well, hopefully, don't fire us.
You know what? I might have to. We're in luck.
Sweet. We're not going to get fired.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to Indy's Real Estate Gurus. The gurus we interview share valuable insights. They reveal their strengths, personalities, and how they'll work for you. Well, we hardworking mortgage guys secure your best mortgage. Real estate gurus work hard too. They avoid problems the amateurs don't see. They listen. They find unrealized opportunities. If you're buying or selling a home, a real estate guru is a valuable resource. If you're even thinking of buying or selling a home, keep listening and definitely call one of Indy's real estate gurus.
All right. So let's take a side step from the real estate part. If I had to take your phone right now and turn it off for a full entire day, you cannot do any work. What would you catch yourself doing?
Well, I'd probably be hanging out with my kids and my dogs, or more than likely probably Eagle Creek Park because I live right up the street from there. And so, or I'd be on the hunt for a nice bottle of bourbon somewhere. It's a terribly expensive habit, but I enjoy sitting around the fire at night and relaxing. And it's funny you mention that because I hand out a schedule to all my clients, both buyer and seller clients, because I have a written schedule because I'm a business owner. I feel like it's really important to have a written schedule because Subway does, so why wouldn't you? And so on my schedule, it says right there that after 7 o'clock at night, unless we're negotiating an offer that's got a deadline, I'm not taking any business calls. And was harder for my wife, I think, than it was for me because the phone would ring and she'd see who it was. She's like, "That's a client. That's so and so. You need to take that call." I said, "No, I don't." I said, "It's probably some third-party vendor, title company, inspection, lender issue that they can leave me a voicemail, and they know because they have my schedule that I'm not going to answer the phone, and I'll call them back first thing in the morning because I've got that built into my schedule for at 7:30, 8 a.m. when I return those phone calls from after hours." And I think it's important that you do that because it's for me personally. If I answer the phone at 8, then the next one's at 9, next one's at 10, and I have to keep my schedule because I have to be well rested, I think, to perform at a high level, and that's really not for me, not really negotiable.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And I've had clients who I'll get a voicemail and they're like, "Hey, I know it's after hours, and I didn't expect you to take the call, but I had to ask you this question while it was on my mind. Give me a call back in the morning,"
right?
Type of thing. Or text messaging is the same thing. "Hey, don't respond to this because I know it's family time," and so they respect those boundaries, and it works out good that way. So,
yeah, but that's something nice that once you've done it so much, you understand that most things are not, "Hey, I got to respond in 3 minutes." Yeah, you understand that, hey, look, it's 7, 8 o'clock at night. If I respond at 9 o'clock in the morning, everything will be just fine. No, like you said, though, what did you say? You said, "Hey, look, sometimes there are time sensitive things."
Right.
All right. So you understand that, which is awesome because, hey, look, just because it's 5 o'clock, I'm home doesn't mean I shut off everything.
Right. Right. And I mean, realistically, I probably take as many incoming calls and text messages between 5 and 6:30 than I do during the day because I understand people are at work and they can't do that kind of stuff. But for me, it's just important to let people know that there is a schedule and there is a time, and if I don't take your call, there is a reason that I'm not taking your call. I'm not just ignoring you, and I'll get back to you. But I think that's one of the biggest complaints that I think the public has. I think the biggest complaint that people in the industry have is that there's just a huge lack of communication, and text messaging and makes things so impersonal that I'm more of a phone call guy. I'd rather just talk to you on the phone. It's a better way to build relationships. It's a better way to do business. It's a better way to get business. I know there's all kinds of options out there, and like I said, I don't claim to be any I know there's social media experts and who are killing it on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, and good for them, and that's all great and stuff. But that's not really who I am. I mean,
right.
Whether I get there someday as a business grows and diversifies and you bring on more people on your team, I don't know, but I'd rather just, what's their number? I'm just going to call them,
So My wife and I, we take our kids on all the parks and all the trails, and Eagle Creek, we've gone several times, and it's interesting how many deer there are there. Yeah, you get shot, and how close you actually become. I think we were like 10, 15 feet away from a deer, and it's just staring at us. And I'm like, well, you don't see this every day.
No, actually, my wife hit one. It's been like 6 or 7 years ago on 56th Street, and told her car out. But either way, but yeah, they're coming back in numbers. They had a controlled hunt, because they were
a few years ago,
and they were and whether or not you agree with that or not, but if you're in the park every day and you see because they don't have any predators, you saw that
you got to keep the population.
Well, there was a lot of sick deer because there's just not enough food, not enough food.
Right.
So, but anyway, that's neither here nor there on a discussion about deer population.
They would take over the park if they didn't do something. But I want to highlight what you were talking about, because there are so many agents who struggle with setting boundaries and time, and having that time off in the evening. It's amazing how many we talk to. It's weekends and evenings that they struggle with. So what you're saying is you set the time, you communicate that, just like a store. Here's my hours. This is what is my hours, and you have set schedules, so they know if I call you at 8:30 at night, or if I text you at 8:30 at night, I don't expect anything back from you until the morning when you do all that. Between 7:30 and 8 is what your time is, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So any agents, and we have a lot of agents listen. Anybody who's looking for that, what you're saying is you just have to set what it is and tell people and be reasonable, and also understand if there's emergencies that goes out the window.
Yeah. I mean, what it comes down to is if you are truly wanting to sell real estate at a high level, and I'm 25, 30 or more deals per year, you have to be able to control your time,
right,
and manage your time. And if you can't manage your time, you'll find that you're just scrambling, and at the end of the day, you'll be exhausted, and you'll have nothing to show for it, other than a whole lot of work and a whole lot of time away from home and a whole lot of scurrying and a whole lot of everything. So my Saturday and Sunday schedule is by appointment only on my schedule, and I don't mind working the weekends. I understand, especially if you're working with buyers, that you may have to work weekends, because you can't control, the market when you're working exclusively with buyers. And we can get to that if you want, about how that goes. But yeah, if you call me at 10 a.m. on a Saturday to see a house at noon, you're probably going to have somebody from one of my offices. Hey, well, I'm going to have somebody from our Carmel office or our Greenwood office or whatever who's going to meet you there,
right?
Because they live right around the corner,
right?
And they've got the time to do it. And so, I tend to try and work more on the listing side because I can control my time and I can control my income. And when the past couple of years in the pandemic, it was just, if you were working with buyers, you had zero ability to control your schedule because you had to jump and move as second something hit the market, regardless of what time it was.
Right.
And then even if you did that, you were the 25th one there anyway. So it didn't, so it didn't matter. But yeah, I look at it that I'm a small business owner, and so I have to control every aspect of being the person who generates the income for the business, the capital for the business. That's how I look at it. So I just can't imagine not having a schedule. And that's one of the I hear all the time, and I hear from new agents, why did you get into real estate? Well, I wanted to have the freedom to make my own schedule. Which, if you have that approach and that mentality, what you're going to end up with is the freedom from income, because you're going to find every reason in the world not to go to work and generate business. And that's our number one job as a real estate agent. Right? You got to go to work, you got to generate business every day. But you'll find a reason. You'll find, because somebody's always going to want you to go to lunch. And somebody's always going to want you to take the kids to the dentist at 10 in the morning. And somebody's going to want you to go to the grocery store at 2, and those things you have to be able to
work is still work.
Yeah, you have to. What you have to do is sell people around you on accountability, and that it's not a job like any other job. You can't just leave in the middle of the day,
right?
Because as soon as you start doing that, then your entire approach to your day is I've got all these other things going on. I can't do that. I can't make time for that. And it's like we've all got the same amount of time every day,
right?
It's just how you choose to use it, And so I've said I'll go to my grave believing that there's a direct correlation between the cars in the parking lot of a real estate office and the names on the sales board.
Oh, I would,
who are
yeah.
producing every day. And even if you're just there and you're just absorbing stuff by osmosis, you're hearing what's going on in the market. You're hearing what other agents are doing to be successful. You're hearing what we're having to do for buyer clients as we shift back towards a low inventory market and how to be successful and to get them under contract. And you're just learning. And I approach real estate like anything else. It's always learning. There's always
Right.
more. I never know enough. I can never learn more. I never say, well, I know everything now. Because as soon as you do, there's going to be a deal that's come and bite you. And because the public believes that every person who's a real estate agent works 40 hours a week and sells $10 million a year and knows everything about real estate. And it's far from that.
Right.
So, which is for a million reasons, which we don't need to get into because everybody has the right to run their business
Right.
as they see fit.
Right.
So, but that's just, we're back to this, you guys see the numbers and the market's always shifting and changing. So I feel like I owe it to my clients to be involved in it every day.
Yeah.
To understand what's going on and, how, what's selling, what isn't selling. What do we need to do for buyers? What do we need to do for sellers? How do we price property right so that it sells, so it doesn't sit? And how do we convince sellers to take what the property is actually worth versus what they think it's worth and all those types of things. So.
And if somebody's looking to buy or sell their home, how do they get a hold of you?
They would give me a call at 317-345-8011. And for a faster response, they can text me, 317-345-8011.
And if they want to shoot you an email?
epitner@callcarpenter.com.
And Pitner is Pitner?
Correct.
That's pretty nice and easy. It's
It
like
is.
Smith.
I spelled it. If I spell it, anybody can spell it. Okay, we all know that. And if you need to get a hold of Ian or I, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com, or you can call us at 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938.
All right. So now let's get into the question of the week.
I've been waiting for this one.
I know.
This one should be really, really good.
Why?
His dad was a car dealer.
Oh, I thought you were about to say Model T. I'm like, wow, really? You're going to throw that? I don't think
I
he's
didn't
that
even
old.
think that way. That's who thinks wrong.
All right. The question of the week is sponsored by, hey, Rick and I, the hardworking mortgage guy, where we believe in helping and supporting you and your realtor by sending constant updates through your loan process. Nobody likes to live in a black hole because dangerous thoughts always enter a black hole. So don't be left in the dark. Contact Rick and I at hardworkingmortgageguys.com. All right. So here's the question. What was your first car?
My first car was a 1976 Buick Skylark.
Okay. Was it
the Green Hornet? It was a green.
Oh, it was a green
It was
one.
green.
Okay.
Mhm.
Did you have a fond memories of that car?
It was my first car.
Yeah.
It was my first car. But my dad to this day still has a 1957 Buick Roadmaster
Oh.
that his dad gave to him for his 18th birthday. And he still has, and so he's had it ever since. And in the trunk of this car, he has every service record, every speeding ticket, any penny he's ever spent on that car are in binders in the back trunk of the car from the day he owned it to today.
Wow.
That's
I thought he was going to
impressive.
say body. Dead bodies.
Well, who knows if
You
he
can put
hits
a lot
some,
in
hey,
there.
if he hit a deer with it, the deer's probably back there too.
But it has air
And that's so rare back then.
Yeah, and it's all original except for the 8-track tape deck that he added to it, and the front windshield, which got busted out. We were living in Franklin, Indiana. I was about 5 or 6 years old playing baseball in the street, and a kid hit the baseball through the garage window, closed garage window, and broke
Oh,
the
wow.
windshield, which they had a special order from California. And I want to say it was something stupid, like this has been 1980, 1981. I want to say it was like a $1,500 windshield.
Oh, my.
And the parents were just, of course, livid because when they found out what the bill was for this kid who hit the base. Yes, anyway.
Yeah.
But everything else is all original on it. So it's
Wow.
got new tires, but other than that.
Have you been allowed to drive it?
One time I was, and that was just a few years ago. I think I was 45 or 46 years old for the first time I got to drive.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and when you said drive it, you don't mean you just backed it out of the garage.
I mean like Rayman, like slow in the driveway.
Yeah.
like in the neighborhood.
You don't just let anybody drive a car
Yes,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay?
I literally was 45, 46 years old, I think, before he let me drive it.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Mhm.
But actually, it's not. I understand it, and it's normal. It's actually people who aren't into cars wouldn't know that, but it is. So many people I've talked to. Oh yeah, my dad had this. I was not allowed to drive it.
It's baby blue. It's got white walls.
Oh,
about 27 feet long, I think. You know what I mean? Put 8 adults in the back seat easily.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, they don't build them like that anymore, and that's a true statement.
No, it's a sled. At the time, at the time it was probably groundbreaking, 150 horsepower, big block or something like that. And,
I know.
So, but anyway,
they couldn't get much horsepower out of those cars.
No.
But the gas was not as good as our gas either. That's part of it. But yeah, so I can talk about cars.
He actually tried to sell it after my mom passed away, and my brother and I stepped in and vetoed that.
Oh, good.
So yeah, you have to get that car.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
it's worth a lot of money.
Yeah, because the brothers are like, hey, we're gonna fight over this later.
I'm trying to keep it family, so as long as I can. So
I think they're just saying, we would like to drive it.
Okay. More than once, Dad.
I still know this day. My brother's driving.
Yeah. Is he older or younger?
I have a twin brother. Actually.
Okay, twin. Okay. So your dad doesn't know which one of you drove it. So back to real estate, as much as I don't want to. What is your superpower or superpowers, would you say?
I think I am honest to a fault. And I tell my clients that my number one job is to tell you the truth, no matter how hard it is for me to say it or how hard it is for you to hear it. And that comes, regardless of the situation, that's pricing or an issue that happens in the transaction, because bad news doesn't get better with time. I'm probably over the top when it comes to, generating new leads and talking to people. And that's just my expressive personality, I think, coming out. But at the end of the day, I don't know if necessarily a superpower other than I just am confident that I'm good at my job. And I continue to learn every day. And I'm surrounded by some really good agents in our office and our company and the industry as a whole. I mean, obviously I think there's like 1,200 brokerage firms in MIBOR now, which is just an ungodly number.
Right.
9,000 agents. And again, your thoughts on that are for another day. But it's funny because you start to see the same names over and over and over again as new listings happen, new sales happen, and you look down, you look at the agents, and it's like, oh, okay. So it's like anything else. I mean, 10% of the people doing 90% of the work.
Right.
But I try and I'm always. I went to a new listing workshop last week that I probably didn't need to go to, but I picked up a couple little things out of that. And so for me, it's always like, how can I do better? How can I surround myself with people who are doing more, who are doing better? And that's not just real estate. That's any business.
Right.
That's life. You are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most.
Yes.
And so, as soon as you're the most successful person in the room, you've got 2 choices. You can stay there, and those people will eventually bring you down to their level for a million reasons. Or you can go find a room where you're now the least successful person in the room and learn from all those people who have more to more to teach you about doing the job. And so, we've got a company president that's been in the business for over 40 years. Our regional manager has been in the business for almost 30 years. Most of the team at Carpenter, the senior management team, has got 30 more years in the business. And they're always just a phone call away.
Right.
I mean, I would ask, who else, and what other job does an independent contractor have the personal cell phone of the president of the company?
Yeah, probably none.
And the president of the company volunteered that to you on your first day of career start training.
Really? Wow.
If you need anything, call me. Here's my personal cell phone number. Here's my email address. If you can't get an answer from your manager, if you have something happening, give me a call. I mean, that's the kind of support that we get.
Yes, that's awesome.
And I just can't imagine being a new agent not having. Obviously you're free to go work for whoever you want. And I had a friend, past client, who came in last week to talk about maybe getting his license. And I said, go interview 3 or 4, 5 companies before you decide where to put your license, but make sure you got the support that you need. Because I couldn't imagine being a new licensee and like, here's your desk, here's your phone. And by the way, you owe us a desk fee next month, even if you're not selling anything.
Right. Get
to work type of thing. And not having, a system in place to have an education department, have a training department, have a marketing department, and so many things that are all that are provided to me that I don't like, that are hands-off stuff. Some of the like social media stuff that we do that is automatically generated. I don't have to worry about that. Right. It goes out every day. It makes it look like I'm super, super busy, which I am, but it's even more so, which is even worse, and it's all automated. So I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. So, but that's all good stuff that I get.
Yeah, so, that's awesome.
So did you ever call the owner?
I mean, I see him back quite a bit. He's in our North Meridian office, and he sat in on the listing workshop last week. His office doors 90% of the time his doors open. He's a big advocate for us, especially as we've did this switch over to this new MLS service, BLC, whatever you want to call it, and there's hiccups in it, and I understand, and so he's been a big advocate for us to help get things back to where it doesn't become a distraction, it becomes much easier to navigate and stuff. But um, and the funny thing was, I can remember so I met him, and Dave Cavness is our president and CEO. I think everybody knows that. And obviously I met him at Career Start in August of 18, I think, and then in January of 19 we have our sales rally every year. You know what I mean? And so here I am, this brand new guy. I think I had done 1 or 2 deals in the first 5 months. And he knew me by name. And we got 650 agents, and
Wow.
And he walked up and knew my name.
Hopefully for good reasons.
Yeah, but that's that's the kind of leadership team in place that and so it feels like family, and we have good support. And even though it's a big company by numbers, it doesn't feel like a big company.
Yeah.
If that makes sense,
Yep.
because we got the ability to go to. I can make an appointment and schedule with a client at any of our offices. It makes it so convenient. I know my home is in Brownsburg, and my home office is in Avon. I do most of my business in Hendricks and Boone and Hamilton counties, but if somebody in Greenwood that I know needs to buy a home, or hey, I can just call that office. Hey, well, I'll schedule a conference room, one of our Southside offices. You don't come all the way up to me. I'll come to you. So it makes it nice to have the ability to do that and work in all those offices. If you got to stop in and do paperwork or hop on a computer and have all that ability to do that's great. So
yeah, that's fantastic. So with Carpenter or in your office, do you have a team, or is it just are you a?
I currently do not have a team.
Okay.
I need a team.
Well, you're doing a lot of volume for somebody all by themselves. That's huge.
Yeah, it is, and I'm really at the point where I need to probably look at bringing some help on. It's just I have a hard time delegating because I set high expectations for myself. I'm my biggest critic. I mean, I'm my biggest critic, and even though I had a really great year last year, and I look at myself and I say, man, I could have done more. I should have done more. And it's like, well, no, maybe you did as much as you could by yourself, because at some point you just have to. It becomes all that busy work of working in the transaction,
right?
That ends up just chewing up your time. And I found myself one day last May or June, I had like 8 or 9 pending in like 3 weeks, and so I just found myself one afternoon. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to sit down real quick and knock out this stuff and go. And then I look up at 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And then I look back and I'm like, this is all just busy work. I should be delegating all this stuff. This is all stuff that I should be. And so I need to look at doing that. We've got, obviously, Carpenter provides us with an administrative assistant. Our office actually has 2 because we do so much volume, to help manage some of that stuff. But yeah, it's time to probably look at hiring a transaction coordinator or I'd love to hire a buyer's agent. Not that I don't love showing property, but somebody who's got more time in order to do that kind of stuff, because when you do listings, you control your time.
Right.
I set a listing appointment. I know what time I'm going over to the house. I take the listing, and then my wife expects the contract to get signed if I'm going to miss dinner.
Yeah.
And so, but with buyers, you don't have that ability to control your time, and you're reacting a lot. And so, we've got a couple of new agents that are doing they're at least there every day learning and wanting to learn, and probably approach one of them about helping me with buyers.
Yeah.
Just because it gives you so much more freedom, and you end up doing more business because you'll have more time.
Right.
To do that.
And it helps them.
Yeah, and it helps
good for everybody.
It helps everybody out. It helps that new agent out to get some experience. It helps the buyers to have somebody who's freely available all the time to do that. And I don't know, probably 7 or 8 times this year I've had to pay another agent to show property because I can't get there.
Right.
I can't be in Carmel and in Avon at the exact same time on Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock. So
you do
I'm
have
going
a twin.
to take the listing appointment every time.
You do have a twin.
So he's my financial advisor, and he's in sales too. And so that was one of the other big things too, is that when I was a new agent feeling down on myself, I had my dad and my brother who had, my dad was 50 years in sales. My brother's got about 27 or 28 years as a financial advisor. Having them to kind of light the fire and put a foot, where quit feeling sorry for yourself. This is sales.
Yeah.
You're either gonna get used to this, you're gonna have to get out of it, because it's not going to change, no matter how long you're in it. And that's what, and I tried to share that with our newer agents, because it was told to me in Career Start, is that nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you anything. And people that you know that you swear up and down would never hire another agent or go with another mortgage company or go with whatever, they will.
They will.
They will, because, and for whatever reason, they feel like they shouldn't do business because they don't want to mix friendship and business, or they feel like, oh, well, they're too busy, and that was my case a couple of times. Well, he's way too busy to help me, so I'll go, or for whatever reason,
Right.
I mean, or they don't want you to know their financials,
Right.
Anything, but or the average person knows 5 or 6 agents and they had a relationship with an
Right.
agent before you got your license.
Right.
And so it's a numbers game, it's sales, right? And so you have to have the mindset to, be like a dog, I say, and that's just kick some grass over it and move on. You know what I mean? Because it's just going to happen. And we have to be able as agents to be the calming voice. And the biggest struggle, I think, is that you have to emotionally detach yourself from the outcome.
Yes.
The deal's not about you, and it might not close, and there might not be anything you can do about that. But if you can stack 7 or 8 or 9 deals together at a time, boy, it's a lot easier.
Yes.
When one falls apart.
Yes.
Versus
it's hard when it's your only one.
When it's your only one, and you spent all 30 days rocking that baby to closing, and then buyer. Last year I had a buyer lose their job. I mean, it was my listing, but the buyer lost their job 2 days before closing.
That's tough.
Yeah, but
nothing anybody can do.
Nothing you can do about that. But if you can have more deals going because you're every day generating new ones versus just working on the one you got, then it's a whole lot easier to replace that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the biggest drawback. I think that's the hardest thing as a new agent. Congratulations, you got your deal. Where's the next one?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to get, even if it does close, let's say you get to closing 30 days later, you get your check. Okay, now you've paid your broker. Now you've paid your government, because the more you make, the more they take. And now you've paid your bills, and now you got a little bit left over, and you did nothing that 30 days to generate the next one because you were just so caught up in working the one you had.
Right.
Boy, that's tough. You know what I mean?
That's going to limit you in how many loans, how many houses you can sell, or
right, because you can't replace the time.
Right.
And you lost time by your own accord, by your own choice. And so right in my office on my wall, in big letters, it says "Start every day at 0." Yeah, I mean, you have to have that approach. You know, and people are like, "Oh, look at that wall full of plaques and stuff from your broker." I said, "Yeah, the only one that matters is the next one."
Right.
And so people say, "How many deals do you need?" Just one more.
That's right.
Just one more. Always just one more.
Yep.
It's always about the next one. And so has to be your approach in any sales job, not just real estate, mortgages, insurance.
Yep.
Is finding the next candidate, finding the next person.
Next person to help.
Yeah. We're panning for gold, guys, right?
Right.
That's what we're doing every day. We're just panning for gold on the phone, on the internet, on email, panning for gold, asking people who they know. We find a nugget. Then we got to figure out, is this real gold or fool's gold? If it's fool's gold, we throw it away and we go back to the pan. If it's real gold, oh, wait. Maybe we got something here.
Right.
That's one. The problem is you find the one and then you sit it on your desk and you stare at it for a month instead of paying on the next day for another one. Then
you always got to be.
Well, then your income's going to be like a roller coaster.
Yes.
You're porpoising. You can't. And so I don't want to live like that.
Right.
The goal is to have a real estate business that pays you like a real job every 2 weeks.
Yes.
That's the real goal, right? And that's the thing is that agents don't understand. Like, do you understand what a nice income you can have, what a nice living you can have for you and your family by doing 2 deals a month?
Right.
And they go, well, they don't understand that. Like, it's that, and they think they have to do 100 when you don't. In this market with the sales prices the way they are, you can make a really nice living doing 25 or 30 deals a year.
Right.
A really nice living, which is only 2 a month.
Right.
That's 1 every other week.
And you start there.
Yeah.
You don't start at 100. You
start there.
Yeah, you have to go through that number.
But if you believe in your mind that you can't put together 1 deal in 80 hours of work, then you either aren't willing to learn or you're not willing to do the work we're teaching you to have.
Right.
I mean, that's really all it comes down to. That's realistically what it is. 1 deal.
Right.
In 80 hours of work time.
Yep.
Will make you a good living.
Yes. Yeah. But the work is all the prospecting and everything to get that deal. Yeah. That's what they tend to forget. That you got to prospect. You got to do the calls like you did.
Well,
you
you have to as a newer agent. Now, eventually you'll get to the point where you've done that for enough years that you've got a book of business and a database big enough and a referral network big enough that you're getting a large volume of your deals by people calling you.
Right.
And that's happened in my neighborhood. I spent our director of training said, you'll sell real estate to the people that you know and the places that you live. If you want to sell a $2 million home, you either have to live in a community of $2 million homes or have a network of people that can buy $2 million homes.
Right.
That's the facts. That's just the reality of the situation. Your odds of being a new agent and walking and being able to create that business on your own aren't impossible, because nothing's impossible except for dribbling a football. They're just not real. So I sat down and looked at my neighborhood, and I'm like, there's 40 homes that sell a year in this place.
Wow.
I had a gold mine in my backyard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just started right then. I would just stop my car a couple blocks away from home and knock on 10 doors every day at the end of the day.
Awesome.
Introduce myself. Hey, by the way, I live in the neighborhood. Here's my card. If you have any questions about real estate, any questions about the value of your home, let me know. And then we've got a corner lot, so we sit out there when the weather's nice. But we talk to neighbors. I sponsor the bounce house at the picnic every year, the pool. And then my wife hates it because, like, if we're walking the dogs,
you get stopped.
I mean, she's like, "This guy's washing his car. You're gonna stop and talk to him, aren't you?"
Of course.
Like, of course I am. Why wouldn't I? You know what I mean? And so that was the first, and so it took me about 6 months of that before I generated my first listing in the neighborhood. But last year alone, I did $4.5 million worth of sales from my neighbors.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Buy and sell my house. We're going to sell our house. We're going to buy another one. I had one where they sold their house and bought another one, and another neighbor bought their listing and then sold her house.
Oh, wow.
So it was 4 deals from talking to one neighbor.
Yeah.
And yesterday my phone rang about 5 o'clock. Hey, I need you to come sell my investment property. I live one block over. The one I'm closing tomorrow, right, is 5 houses down from me. I never met him before in my entire life.
Yeah.
But I've got a presence now. I do a neighborhood Facebook page, and I do a social, a real quick market update on every month, the first of the month. Just here's what's for sale, here's what's under contract, here's what's sold, and then I'll do a link for a free CMA or a low inventory flyer. Or yesterday was all about taxes. Hey, you probably got your tax bill. You probably got some questions about it. You might have some sticker shock. Let me know, how I can help. I'll help you answer those questions about what's going on. And the phone rang. Hey, why my property taxes go up? Well, have you been paying attention to what houses are worth? Do you have any idea what your house is worth? The guy had no idea.
Really?
What his house was worth.
Wow.
And he wasn't paying attention. You know that, Rick. I mean,
when you're not thinking about it, you purchased your house and you don't even think about it.
How many people don't even know what they owe on their mortgage?
Yeah,
they got no clue, because
almost all of them.
either they're paying no attention to it, or it's an automatic withdrawal, or the spouse is taking care of it, and they've got no idea.
That's true.
Because I'll ask, as part of our pre-listing packet, I want to put together a net sheet to show them, what you're going to walk away with, because that's what 99% of people care about, is how much they're going to make and how soon can you get that money for them.
Right.
But they'll tell me a number, and then we'll go pull the mortgage, and the mortgage company, it's way off. And then they're mad, It's like, well,
I'm going off your numbers.
I can't help the fact that you owe way more than what you said you did,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I mean, I worked my tail off generating business in that neighborhood, and now it's just
pays off.
Now, it's come listing stuff now,
right?
It's come,
yeah.
And twice last year, people called me to list their homes. They were under contract with the next home with a different agent, didn't use them to list their property. That's an awkward conversation to have, right?
Yeah.
Hey, congratulations, your offer got accepted. When can I come over and list your home? Well, about that, we're going to call the neighborhood expert to do it. And so now, but it's taken about 3 years to get there. And I think that too is one of the biggest hurdles for newer agents, is they expect the instant gratification.
It's not there.
And it's just, they don't realize that how much actual work it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm working. People was like, "Oh, you're making way more money than you did in public safety." And I said, "Well, yeah," but I said, "You'd be surprised about how many hours I'm putting in."
Right.
At the end of the day.
Right.
At least initially, I've started. Last year was a lot fewer than year 3, which so. I was, because there were no weekends off when I was new. It was like we had open houses back then because we had inventory.
Right.
I do 2 every Sunday, 2 open houses.
Right.
Noon to 2 and 3 to 5 every Sunday. So there's out there.
That's what you had to do.
Yeah, because you got to get the exposure, and you got because people are going to hire who they know and who they respect and who they see, and now last year a lot of referrals and more referrals this year, and so but those referrals come from past clients because you've taken good care of them, but you can't expect all that right away. I mean, that's not. There are obviously some first-year agents that just knock it out of the ballpark. And the funny thing is a lot of them, they have a great first year, and then that tails way off. So, but I think the last number I saw was like 75% of agents quit in the first 2 years.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
I mean, just absolutely insane.
So if somebody they want to list the home, They want to buy a home. What is the best way to get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me is on my cell phone, 317-345-8011. And if you need a quick response, send me a text, 317-345-8011.
Perfect. And to get a hold of E and I, it's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. Or you can call 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938.
And a reminder, if you know any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, or refinance, contact Rick or I will be more happy to help you.
And follow us for more Indies Real Estate Gurus.
Branch NMLS number 33041. Rick Ripma's NMLS number 6645889. Ian Arnold's NMLS number is 1995469. Equal housing opportunity. Some restrictions apply.